So we're now on the record and recording. When you guys ask questions, I'll try to remember to repeat the question so it makes it on the recording also. And I put these up. They're completely unedited because if I had to edit them, they'd never get up. So, just a little about me. I can come out to your house. I can remotely help you with hardware, software problems. I see quite a few of my clients in here. And really, it's to help you. I'm trying to get you to not need me, but things always come up, so you may need me. And yeah, I get the calls, the 911 calls, because your hard drive crashed or something. You know what? A lot of times, what seems overwhelming to you is sometimes a pretty simple thing to fix, and a lot of times I can do that remotely for you. This slide will be up at the end, so you don't have to worry. Feel free to email me. As I tell everybody, if you phone me or you email me and you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, assume I'm dead or I'm in jail and you don't want to talk to me because I'd ask you for bail, or I missed your email because I get over 150 emails a day I'm up to now, okay? So it means it scrolled off the bottom. I don't consider it bugging me, it's reminding me, and please, that's fine. I'm asking you to. If I missed it, just say I missed it, it's fine, okay? So, iOS 6 is the new operating system that you can put on iPhone 3GS, iPhone 4, iPhone 4S, and it comes on the new iPhone 5. It works on all the iPads except the original iPad. So any of the iPads that have a camera can work with iOS 6, and it's a free upgrade. It also works with the last 2 generations of the iPod Touch. So I'm going to go over iOS 6 in general because learning that, you're also learning about the new iPhone 5. And in the second half of the class, when we go into the iPhones 5s, I'm going to make sure I delineate what the differences are in the iPhones because the 4 and the 4S are still available for pretty good deals. So I'm happy to talk about the prices on the phones and things like that. And I don't sell them, so I can be free to say whatever I want. Who hasn't heard about the problem with Apple Maps in the new iPhone? It's not really much of a problem, and we go in.
It's a cartoon today in the Bee.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the guy flying the drone. He says, I love it, using the Apple Maps.
Yeah. Well, it's it's really good. There are a few things that are kind of off or missing, but we have an alternative, and when I go into the phone, I'm going to go over that with you. But Maps is really cool because, and this is geek speak, but the maps are what's called vector-based, which means it takes a lot less data to get that map displayed on your screen because the way Google Maps did it was dot by dot. Now, everybody thinks it's Apple's pissed off at Google and that's why they got rid of them. Well, Apple is a little angry with Google because they copied the iPhone. But the real issue is Apple, for the last few years, has wanted or Google to put turn-by-turn directions in the maps because Apple made the old Gmail or the Gmaps. Apple provided the interface, but it was the Google data. And Google said, no, we're not going to do turn-by-turn directions because we only want the Android people to have it. So what's perceived as Apple battling out with Google, and it's Apple put the kibosh on it, it's exactly the other way around. And Apple still had 1 more year left on their contract with Google. Admittedly, there's some problems with the map, and Steve Cook has said that. But you know what? Because of everybody going out and crowdsourcing this data, it's going to get nothing but better. One of the key features is, if you have Apple Maps on your phone, and you're in traffic, and other people have Apple Maps on their phone, it's sending anonymous data back to the server, and it'll let you know exactly where that traffic is, better than the traffic cameras and anything else, because it's using that data interactively. And the more people use it, the better it gets. That's crowdsourcing. So Flyover will show you, if you look at the pictures here, it also has 3D mapping now. And the 3D maps, we can look at in certain cities. Sacramento doesn't have it too well yet. San Francisco, man, you can go to the Transamerica Pyramid and you're going like this. It's wonderful. It's eye candy, but that makes up for maybe some of the points that don't work, right? If you have a 4S or the new iPhone 5, it will give you voice-guided turn-by-turn directions. So you punch in where you want to go, and she'll talk to it, and you'll travel through it. Unfortunately, on the 4 and the 3GS and the iPad, it's not there. There are apps that'll do that. Actually, I believe the new iPad will. So these are a couple things with the maps. The turn-by-turn directions, I picked these slides up because it's a lot harder to see it on the phone because I can't change the size of the phone. You'll see the screen on here later. But you put in your address, type or speak it if you have Siri. Gives you spoken if you have one that'll support it, turn-by-turn directions. And if you'll note, what'll happen is on these, the little, at the top where the gray area is, gives you the estimated time of arrival, right up here. Estimated time of arrival, how long it's going to take to get there and how far it is. And this shows you your next upcoming turn. And it follows you very well. I always had trouble getting the compass thing to work on mine because it's magnetic based. But when you go into their map apps, since it knows you're probably following a road, it overcomes the compass and actually does route you pretty well. When you tap when you're on the normal screen, this will disappear up top, and this will disappear down here, and you'll have the full screen, and it works in horizontal, portrait, or landscape mode. I prefer portrait, and if you look at all those TomToms and everything, they're always in landscape mode, and I think, I don't care what's to the left and right of me, I want to know what's ahead of me. So it sets to this way, but you can do it the other way. Also, you know how sometimes on the GPSs you would have to make it recalculate your route or anything? This, I've blown away with how it does it. As I turn here and turn here, it automatically recalculates. I don't have to do a thing, and it just works. It will work on the 3GS and the 4, you just won't get the voice-guided turn-by-turn directions. There's not enough processing power for that. Real-time traffic. It shows here, oops, don't go forward. It shows here, red dots are slowed down. Yellow dots are slowed, red dots are pretty bad traffic. And you get those right over your map overlay. So you can see. And it has the ability, and they're going to fine-tune it, to have the option of rerouting you around traffic jams and things like that automatically. Shows little accidents. I keep hitting this for the lazy. That shows an accident, like alerts, like there's there's some sort of traffic alert for there, and then construction areas. So you'll be alerted to that. The flyover maps, this is a little better picture. We'll have to see it in person, and we can do that after the fact. But and by the way, this shows it on an iPad and on an iPhone, works on an iPod Touch also. You really get a 3D perspective of it. Of course, we're trying to display it on a 2D screen, so it's a little hard to see. It really, really is neat. And if you think about it, we're used to maneuvering by a map. But if we actually see the street we're going down in a 3D perspective, we really can tell what it is, and it's really cool to see what's going on, and it's going to have more familiarity. Unfortunately, it doesn't have Street View, which Google Maps still does. And I'm going to show you that alternative because you now can do it inside your Safari browser on your phone. So yes, we lost Google Maps on the iPhone, but we gained it back in Safari as the browser. So it's still there and you're still able to get it. But I think that they'll be improving this. Apple is using the TomTom data, so it should be fairly accurate. There just be, 2 million iPhones were sold in an hour. So, and then everybody that had iPhones that upgraded to iOS 6 immediately starts checking out their own house. They go, well, I'm not here. So you hear about it, but it's not as big an issue as it would, as you would seem. I wasn't worried that it didn't show Mozambique as well as I thought it would. Siri has enhanced options. How many here have the new iPad 3? When you upgrade to iOS 6, you can actually use the full Siri, not just the text-to-speech of Siri. Siri, you can ask Siri more questions. I'll do my Siri demo at the end. It's better than looking at a picture of Siri. But you can ask for sports scores and things like that. You can tell it to book a table at a restaurant for you. there's the sports scores end of it. You can go in and it does Fandango. You can tell Siri, find the champion, the movie nearby, and go buy me a ticket. Restaurants, the cool thing I'll do when I do Siri is we'll say find the nearest restaurant and then find the best restaurant nearby, and it will sort it by how you want, whether you want it nearest or you want the best. Go ahead.
You mentioned Fandango on it. Does that mean you have to have a Fandango app for it to do that part?
No, it goes in just like, okay, so for the restaurant reviews and most of the stuff, it's a good question. The question was, do you have to have Fandango app? No, but the Fandango app comes into play a little bit later, how I'll show you. To buy the tickets, you have to have the Fandango app, but to get information about the movies, it uses Fandango. And actually, for the movies, it uses Rotten Tomatoes as to tell you what it's like. It uses Yelp for the restaurants. That's what uses Yelp ratings, and which is a crowdsourced way, which is better than anything else, I think, for restaurant reviews. How many here use Facebook or barely use it? Okay. I'm not a big Facebook user. I'm what they call a lurker. I hardly ever post, but I go kind of read what other people do sometimes. Lurker doesn't mean bad. I'm not a stalker like this. But it's just, and a lurker is someone who doesn't post a lot. I don't think my life's that important that I should really post. I mean, I don't care. They don't need to know what I ate for dinner, okay? Obviously, I do okay. But Facebook is integrated into iOS 6 now, so it makes it easy. You take a picture, and you can say post to Facebook. I've used that, and it's kind of neat. I go out and I take sunrise photos and I take sunset photos, and I can post them directly from my iPhone right to Facebook. Now, a lot of us had worried, we hated that Mobile Me got rid of the galleries and everything else. There's kind of an alternative now, but most people just post to Facebook, and you can either make it private or not private on there. So all your Facebook integration is there. You can post right to it from within the iOS. As few hands went up, I don't think that's a huge deal, but it's a lot easier. You can do Facebook contacts in the contact manager now. And just so you know, in Mountain Lion on your Mac, it's now not address book and iCal anymore. It's contacts and calendars, just like it has been on the phone. If you see an app, like I'm going to show you an app later that's really good. And if I like it, I can hit on the App Store, oh, I like that app. It'll automatically post on Facebook so my friends can see, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good app. Shared photo streams is brand new. Let's talk about Photo Stream first because it's really neat. It's all part of the cloud. And it integrates all your devices, including your Mac. And believe it or not, the PC can do it too. But Photo Stream is when I take photos with my iPhone or my iPad. I was just on a cruise in Alaska, and this lady's taking pictures of the otters with her white iPad over and it was an iPad 2 no less, which does not have a good camera. The iPad 3, or the new iPad, has a pretty good camera. But like this, I'm just waiting for that iPad to go in the drink. And she was really sweet. She's from Georgia, and she had the drawl and everything, but it just looked so weird. If you have an iPhone, use that camera. Don't use your iPad camera. But the Photo Stream takes anything you take and puts it up on the iCloud, secured and protected. It's yours. You have to have a password to get into it. Now you can elect to share it with certain people, certain photos, but Photo Stream puts your 1,000 most recent photos, as long as they're less than 30 days old, up on the cloud. So what's that mean? It means when I take them with my iPhone, I go to iPhoto on my Mac, I click on my Photo Stream, and all my photos are there, and I can put them into my Mac if I want. I no longer have to use the cable. And it does it behind the scenes and automatically. Also, if I'm taking these sunrise and sunset pictures, I take my Canon camera out, I take pictures, I put the card in here on my MacBook Pro, they automatically get loaded up to Photo Stream, and they show up on my device. They don't load on my device unless I tell them to copy it to my camera roll. But I can view them, and those pictures stay on your Photo Stream for how long?
30 days.
Correct, 30 days, as long as you don't exceed 1,000 photos. Okay? But that can easily happen, but that does not count against your 5 gigabytes of storage space. How do you get rid of them? They expire in 30 days. You can delete them from your photo stream.
How do you put them on your computer?
Just bring them into you have a Mac?
Yes.
Just bring them into iPhoto. And then if you've turned on, you have to have a newer version of iPhoto, and you have to be running at least Lion. Is it not Lion? And then once you bring them in here, they automatically go to the photo stream if you've turned it on.
Even though it shows that they're in photo stream. I'm wondering how do you keep them for more than the 30 days?
Okay, that's a good question. So if I take these with my iPhone and I don't download them to my computer with 30 days, they disappear off the photo stream, right? They don't disappear off the device I took them with. Okay? Because I took them here. Look at photo stream as a bonus. Same thing on your computer. If I upload those photos to my computer and I don't download them to my iPhone, they're still on my computer. So it's kind of a buffer. It's a cache, so to speak. Does that answer that okay for you? Go ahead.
Then does that mean you're overloading your phone if you don't delete them?
Only the photos you take with your phone will be on your phone, and I think I have 1,800 photos in mine, and your phone can get full, and when you look at your levels but you know what? Even though these are high-resolution pictures, they don't do too bad, but you can delete them from your phone, but you want to make sure they're in your iPhoto. Another question here.
Yeah, if you exceed the 1,000,
It drops off the oldest.
okay, that's my question.
So the question was, if you exceed the 1,000, what happens? Just the oldest drops off. So there's two parameters, 1,000 photos max, and we don't know, it may let you go a little longer, and they have to be less than 30 days old. Okay? Oops. Nice thing is now, with this photo sharing, you're able to put a few words on the photo, and it shows up when you do photo sharing. It's kind of like we have journaling in iPhoto for that. So, and then people can make comments. If you share one of your photos with someone, and they're approved, in other words, you've made them their email address so they can look at it, they can leave a comment. So you kind of have your own little private social network that way. And the last one is the web view of it. You can go into your iCloud and look at them, but otherwise you can also send somebody a link to look at them so they don't have to download the photo. Okay? It's a little closer to the mobile me. Passbook. Passbook's brand new, and it doesn't have a lot of things in it yet. But think of this as your man purse for us guys. It's just the holder of everything that you might need. How many here enjoy Starbucks? Not me, I'm sorry, I'm not a coffee drinker. Your Starbucks card can go in here, and now with your iPhone you'll be able to go in, and they just added Starbucks. You'll be able to just have them scan your phone, or actually, believe it or not, there's some other ways it can be done. I did a Target coupon in mine, and I'll show you how that works later, and they can scan it at the register. So you'll notice, you see on the right-hand side, your right-hand side, the Starbucks card is there, and the register just scans this. You'll notice there's an American Airlines one here. These are time and location sensitive. When I go into a Target or I go into a Starbucks, it senses my GPS location, and it will pop up with the appropriate thing in your passbook for where you are, or it can be time sensitive too. If I have a flight tomorrow, not just because I get near the airport, because it says American Airlines, it's not going to say SAC yet, but it would pop up, and on your lock screen it'll just give you a reminder, and it has all your information there. That's in fact what this screen is. So your lock screen shows it's locked. You've got a little reminder. Actually, it does do location-based, it turns out, but it also will do time-based for you as you get closer to that date or reminder. Question?
Yeah. I think I've seen people at the airport show their phone for the boarding pass.
That's what this is. That is an American Airlines boarding pass right there. No, Southwest doesn't have it yet. Southwest has been kind of slow. When I do Southwest, I take a picture of my boarding pass, put it in my phone, but realistically usually just go through that because TSA's, they'll look at this and it will work past TSA, but other airlines are getting on board, and that's your boarding, that's on American Airlines, that's your boarding pass right there.
So how do you get it on there?
Good question. How do you get it on there? Well, what it is if, like, for instance, Target and American Airlines, I go to their app in the App Store. Same with Fandango to buy tickets like we talked about for the movies. You go to the app, you log into your account, and then on that app, there's an option down there. You got to go down and it says Add to Passbook. So the way this works is Passbook doesn't hold all this information. What Passbook does is a pathway into the American Airlines app or the Fandango app, but it just brings it omnipresent up in front. So it really is the app you're using, but Passbook is the pathway, and it's everything in your holder right here. Does that make sense?
So do you use it then every time you're traveling somewhere, then you have to go into the app to, or is it?
Well, obviously, well, no, because you have to go in the app, or if the app interacts with the website, let's say, it might add new things to it. The app doesn't. The beauty is the app doesn't have to be running because it pushes the stuff to Passbook. But I don't know, like if you have another flight later on, how that will work. But remember, it's keying on time and what's called geofencing, the GPS location. So I can't answer that perfectly for you. Right here?
If you don't keep your GPS active and open all the time,
It is open all the time. Yeah, you're not using maps. Your phone has a, by law, your phone has to have GPS on it.
but isn't there a setting that says I can have this happen and be around?
That's in privacy, and yes, you can turn off your location services. Your time will still work, but your geolocation doesn't. And you know what? It's all about convenience. It's just, there's so many things your GPS will do, which I'll point out a few things with Siri and the maps and everything else. But as I get in, there's a couple screens farther here where we get into privacy, and it allows you to put certain things. Like I don't want Facebook to know where I am. Okay. Another question back there in the corner?
I'm just trying to understand the plane ticket. So you go to travel agent, or you go to the website. and
Travel
find
agents.
Airline ticket.
Travel agent?
Yeah.
They still have them? And have them handwrite one of those. I'm just giving you that time. Handwrite one of those paper tickets that has the red. Remember the red colored ink on the back?
Okay.
No, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking back. I remember that. Yeah.
Trivial pursuit. Anyways, once you've done that, what pushes it out so it ends up on your phone?
You're logged into your account. So most of us probably book our tickets online, or at least check or check in online. You have your account, and then you go to the app on the phone. You log in with that account information, and then it. I like it.
Somebody else has a good word.
So it's in the app, and Passbook is peering into the app. That's the only way I can really put it.
Ken, I have a quick question. Besides airlines, what do hotels?
They're working on it, and hotels are a little different because you don't normally get a boarding pass kind of thing. But if the hotel has an app, you might see it in Passbook. Passbook only got introduced, you know what, less than a month ago. So, sorry about the cutoff on the top there, but FaceTime. I hate video calls. I could care less about this. I don't have any kids, so it's no big deal, but you guys might like FaceTime. You can do FaceTime on your Mac. You can do FaceTime on your iPad. You can do FaceTime on your iPod Touch, and you can do FaceTime on your iPhone. You used to only be able to do it on your iPhone if you were hooked up to Wi-Fi. And that was the carrier saying, we don't want it, it's going to use too much data, and besides they're making phone calls. That's our rule, you know? Because it went over your data, it doesn't use your minutes. But what happened is, Apple, I call it the camel's nose under the tent. We're not going to have cell phone call carriers in the near future. It'll be handled over the internet as an internet phone call, and you'll be able to make phone calls iPhone to iPhone with just using the data side of it. That's coming. FaceTime uses a bit of data because it's a video call. So everybody here, except those on AT&T, with the old unlimited plan, can use FaceTime over cellular now. You used to have to be on Wi-Fi. And again, if you're on Wi-Fi, it's going to be a better connection, but also you're not using your data plan. Remember, most of us are paying for buckets of data. Well, you can use a pretty big bucket if you're using a lot of FaceTime. I wish they made FaceTime so you could just do audio. And then I'd be making that call because it takes a lot less. But AT&T, if you're on the old $30 grandfathered unlimited plan, AT&T is not allowing it. Okay? And that makes sense. They're going to throttle you at 3 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes anyway. But anyway, so that's how it is. You can now do it without a Wi-Fi connection. All right. I think one of my favorite features is the new send to voicemail or send a message. Somebody calls you and you're in the middle of a meeting. Hopefully you have your phone on silent. And like today, I did like that ringtone. And you would usually hit the button on top to reject the call. Now you have right here this little phone icon. If I touch that phone icon or actually push it up, what will happen is I can reply with a text message, assuming the other person has text. Did you need?
Just wanted to announce that we're in the middle of our election. All the people that are members.
Vote early, vote often.
Vote early, vote often. You need your votes. We're way off of getting a quorum. It seems like people aren't voting much this year. Bob White's going to send a message tomorrow with the hotline. He already sent one, but please vote.
Please do, because it's your voice, really.
It's only going to take 1 minute. There's only like 2 choices. We have to have the
Are there debates?
Oh, God.
There was an empty chair. There it is. See, I can do this because I'm running for board of directors again. There's 2 of us running, and you have to elect 2. So,
By the way, he's winning.
yeah.
Yes, he is a candidate. I just remember.
Yeah.
So no one can see what you do. You vote, but we need you to vote.
And when you go to the Macnexus website, it looks very similar to your normal Macnexus login and password. They don't need that. What they need is your member number, which you email Bob White, he can get it for you.
It's on your card.
And or on your card, and then it wants your zip code. It doesn't want your login password.
Will that
Okay?
card be in passbook?
What's that?
Will that card be in
Being passbook? No, we don't have an app for that yet. Maybe never. Thanks, Bob. So when I push this up, oh, by the way, on the election again, I'm running for another term on board of directors, and so is another gentleman, Matthew Christian, who's brand new. We're running for 2 spots, so unless there's an overwhelming write-in. But the critical one is Rocky, who talked to you earlier, against Zule, and we need to have votes so you guys can have your say in the election. And I guess I didn't know we had to do a quorum, but it sounds like we do. So, if you'll notice, that moves up, and you can say reply with a message. It's a little text message you can type in. Or, I like this, remind me later.
To call them on.
Yes. Here's when you hit reply with message, this is the screen you'll get. You can make a custom screen saying, hey, look, I don't want to talk to you. Just get out of my life. Or, what's up? And they would reply by, they're going to get that text message if you do it. Okay, so that's reply with message. You get some built in, and then you can make your own. Okay, so you just press it. Go ahead.
If you have no clue whether the other people have a text message, what happens to the call if you try?
They don't get a text message.
They would just,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not a cell phone, I guess.
Well, or Google Voice, one of those. I mean, it just doesn't. No, you would you can just reject the call. But that's these days, more and more people are using the mobile and only mobile phones. But yes, that is a caveat to it, and it's nothing you can do about it. You have text, so. And by the way, how many here have a text plan that has limits on it that you hate sending texts, that you either have to pay for them or got limits? if you text an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac that's running iOS 5 or newer, it doesn't cost a cent and it doesn't use your text. And the way you can tell it is the text message turns blue instead of the green. It's iMessage. That's the second camel's nose under the tent, and boy, are those cell phone carriers pissed off at Apple about that. Go ahead.
Is that based on identifying it as an iPhone in your address book?
No, you don't have to say it's an iPhone, because when you register iMessages, you can register by email, by phone numbers, whatever it is, and it comes in. But yeah, if you say in the address book, if you say iPhone, it's going to be better about recognizing it, but it'll do it without that. What happens is the first time you send a text message, you might get dinged for that one. But what happens is it says, oh, you're talking to an iPhone. Then it goes over to iMessage. And if iMessage has trouble connecting, it then gives you an option to send it as a regular text over the old-timey cell phone network.
Ken, where do you set up your messaging?
When you hit, for this, when you click custom, in other words, you can do it in another screen, but we're not going to go into setups now, but it's in your notifications.
Okay.
So the next screen is, this is the remind me later. Remember, we had the button, we said message. This is the remind me later one. Remind me in an hour that that person called. This happens to me all the time. I usually tell them, remind me you called and call me back if I don't talk to you. When I leave, so if somebody called me right now and I said, remind me when I leave, this is why you want your GPS on. As I get about 300 feet, 300 yards away from this building, it won't automatically call, but a little pop-up screen will come up and say, remember to call so-and-so, and you know what? You just tap on it and it'll call them for you. Remind me when I get home. I'm driving home. And I don't want to use my cell phone minutes, so I want to use my home phone, those old tiny copper things. When you get home, boom, pops up and says, remember to call so-and-so. Or when I get to work. Now, home and work have to be in your contacts in there. Okay? But those are your options. There's no custom here. If you have 4 homes, I'm sorry. Okay? Life's tough. Maybe that's in a later feature, okay? So, it's geofencing again. It's time-based or it's geographically based. Is that useful? Go ahead.
Can you edit those though? Instead of an hour, can you do half an hour or something like that?
I don't think so, and I'm sorry I haven't checked into that yet. Nobody ever calls me. So. Go ahead.
How do you tell what home and work is?
You go into your contacts and you put your contacts. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show you on the phone because everybody needs to do this. Wait till I get live on my phone. Remind me either after the slideshow or after the break, because it is really important. Because you have to make your contact. Because you say, take me home. Just tell Siri to take me home. Well, she doesn't know where to go unless you've put your home address in there. Big Brother doesn't know everything yet. Okay? So this is another feature, is the Do Not Disturb feature. A lot of times I leave my phone on at night and I'll get text messages from one of this place I get Macintosh jobs from. Sometimes they're on the East Coast. I'll get them at 4 a.m. and stuff. So I don't want to turn my phone off in case my 88-year-old mother needs to call me. So I can set it so that she could call through and have a certain ringtone if she wanted. But your Do Not Disturb is right here. Turn it on from here. From a time. Say, I want to. Now, you set the times, and then you can turn the Do Not Disturb on and off as you want, but I can allow calls from certain people. Okay? So that's pretty useful.
So we have to not disturb on the iPad, it's not a phone, what does that do for us?
You won't be disturbed. No, I believe on that, it would be the text message issues. Because you can do messages on there now. Because I don't know why any other reminders would be in there. And in fact, it might be something where they included in iOS 6 because you don't. I think it's the text or the email beeps too. You know how it gives you an email chirp? Yeah, so you know how you get an email. Well, you might, and I'm not positive on this, I'd have to play with it because that hadn't come up. You get the chirp for your email, you might be able to set those little things so only certain people's emails will chirp at you. Was there another question?
Get a call from FaceTime, That would be a good.
Yeah, that would be that good point. So if you got a FaceTime call, so no, calendar reminders are a little different because they want to. Well, yeah, a reminder might. I'm not positive. It's fairly new. So and then you can set your times just like you do any of your other times on your do not disturb. I'm stupid. I leave mine on all the time. Doesn't mean I'll answer it. Anyway, mail, just like on Mountain Lion, has gotten better in iOS 6. VIP inbox. So, I get so many messages. If I want to make sure I get somebody's message, filtered to the top, I put them in my VIP. Think of it like favorites, okay? If somebody's in my VIP, I add them to my VIP. If I click on VIP, it shows me their messages. It could be 20 people, but it shows you that. So it's going through the signal to noise ratio. You can limit what you see, and that's what VIP will do. It will still all show in your inbox, but the VIP will only show people you've assigned, okay? So it's a way of filtering your mail to make it a little bit more useful. You can also, in the iOS device, you can attach photos right to the mail now. You can copy and paste them from there. You don't have to email from iPhoto. The other thing I'll point out, see this little thing here? You used to have to hit in the lower left of mail for it to refresh your mail. Now, like Twitter had done on their app, is you just swipe down and it refreshes, and the way Apple does stuff, the rubber band effect and all that. It's so much like it's just a real piece of machinery. But that will just stretch out, and that's how you refresh your mail. Okay. Safari is gotten much better. It's faster. But the really cool thing is now if you're on the cloud, and this is why Apple really said, hey, you got to have Mountain Lion or Mountain Lion to get on the cloud because it's so much better. There's so many features in the cloud. Who opens a lot of tabs in Safari to look at different things? Tab browsing is great. I have way too many open most of the time. But now I can have my tabs synced. If I have tabs open on my Mac and I open up Safari on my iPad, the tabs I had open were there. Not bookmarks, the tabs. Also, all your bookmarks sync back and forth. And the other really cool thing is next to this is, it's called the reading list. And when we go into the phone, we'll see that. If I'm reading an article on my Mac, and I got to leave in 2 minutes. God, it's a long article. I don't want to bookmark it. I got too many bookmarks. I put it in my reading list. And then on my iPhone or my iPad, that link shows up on my reading list. And I read it at my leisure. And it'll stay on my reading list until I delete it from my reading list. But I have two settings on reading list. One is all of my reading list and unread ones on my reading list. Go ahead. It's in bookmarks. When we go onto the screen, I'll show you. And I'll probably be doing a Safari class next month, Safari and Mail, which I'll cover that in depth. But it's the whole cloud syncing of it, which is great. If you update a bookmark on one, if you set it to update the bookmarks on the other. Now this is a thing, offline reading list. I'm trying to read that. I got it over to my iPhone, and I'm leaving for the airport because I'm going on the plane, and I don't get to read the whole thing. Well, Safari refreshes the page all the time now. So if I go to my offline reading list, it downloads that web page to my phone. Web pages are not really big. Downloads that page to my phone, and I can read it. Okay, that's offline reading list. Full screen landscape. With the iPhone 5, you have a slightly longer screen. And iCloud tabs we talked about. This is key. The accessibility features in the iOS are huge. How many people were at the Macnexus when the blind gentleman talked about using the iPhone? How many people? He uses his iPhone as well as I can, and he can't see. There's tons of accessibility features built into it, but for those of us that don't need those accessibility features, we can do a thing called guided access. How many here hate giving the phone or the iPad to a kid that's over there because they're going to go off the screen they're on and they might buy apps, they might change things around? You can set a perimeter of places where they can touch or not touch. So you give it to some kid. Well, think of it in a kiosk mode, like if you're at a business or something, or if you don't want the kid to go to the home screen, you don't want them to buy any apps because they know your password, they guessed it. You can set it so they can only certain parts of that screen can they touch, and they can't even actuate the home button. You can limit access with this accessibility feature. Restrict touch access to certain areas of the screen, you turn that on, and you tell what part of the screen you want to restrict touch to. And you have the password to turn it back off. It's a long, detailed thing, but it's there, and it's great. Camera in panorama. To me, this isn't a big deal because I'm going to show you what I think is a more useful panorama app. But panoramas on the iPhone kick butt. It's built into your new iOS 6. And it works up to 240 degrees. And I took some pictures before the class today, so I'll bring those up and show you. And it does it automatically by just starting your camera, and you move slowly as it goes around, and it stitches the photos together very well. I will show you that, and it's really cool. No, turn your camera the other way. No. I'm glad you did that, and I was going to bring it up. I always thought, well, shouldn't I put my camera in landscape mode? No, because it limits the height. We're making a wide picture. We want it as tall as we can get it, so that your phone should be in portrait mode. And you start on the left, and you just work across, because if you do it the other way, you've hurt height, and it won't do it the other way. It will only work in portrait mode, starting from the left, going to the right. We're going to demonstrate that on my phone as we go along. Panorama is great. It can make really large pictures. That can be a 27 megapixel or 27 megabyte picture. iPhone OS, one sec. iPhone OS is compatible with the iPhone 3GS, the iPhone 4. Turn-by-turn directions are available in these two phones. The regular iOS 6 is available for both of these. The iPad, and then the other bonus, if you have the new iPad, you update to iOS 6, you no longer just have the keyboard, you have full Siri. We're going to go through Siri right after the break. Go ahead.
If you have multiple devices at home, like 2 4Ss and an iPad, you have to load each one individually?
Yeah, the question is, if you have multiple devices, do you have to load it independently? If you're currently running iOS 5 on your device, the device itself you can update it from the device in the general settings, and you might even have a little badge that's got a 1 on it saying update. If you're running iOS 4, you can jump right to iOS 6, but it has to be done via the computer. Your question is, if you have two of the same phone, can you download it there? It's a really big download, and I think it's better to do it right on the phone. That being said, if your phone is set up to back up to your iCloud, you're fine. If it's not set up to back up to the iCloud, make sure you sync it to your computer. Just like when you upgrade your iOS or your OS for your Mac, I always say, back it up. Charles, you had a question? Yeah, just like anything you can from iPhoto. The problem is it's, spanning across. What you can do on Panorama is send it to your Mac and maybe print it from there. Because you could you can tape them together, or you can print it out. You have more latitude. Most of the printing functions from the iOS devices is somewhat limited because there's no printer drivers needed. But I'll tell you, I Actually, I'm gonna go on this before. I'm gonna talk about this before the break because I think we brought up printing. Hang on one sec. Got to get the advertisement up. iPad. My mom, 88 years old. My dad was the computer guy. Mom, gosh, she typed real well. She's really intelligent, but she just never could really embrace the computer and the disconnect between the mouse and the cursor. Most people don't do well with the trackpad. She did better with the trackpad because that made more sense. In fact, Regis Philbin, total computer Luddite. I know Leo Laporte, who does a podcast, went back and visited them, and he does the tech segment for them 3-4 times a year. Regis, the first time he sat down in front of the computer while they were there, he has an iPad and he uses it fine. He tried to put the mouse on the screen to move the cursor. And Regis Philbin's a pretty bright guy, okay? The iPad just does it. But my mom, we used to have DSL at the house because Dad had it for the computer and it was pretty slow. But we kept it at my mom's house so the kids would come visit. So, I wasn't going to go visit her unless the DSL was on, Then I got the iPhone and I could connect. But the iPad with the cellular internet connection, we were able to cancel her DSL and use her iPad for the cell signal. And that's what she uses, so it costs less than she paid for DSL. And when she goes to Mesa, Arizona for 3 months out of the year, it works down there too. But the problem is, she needs to print. Well, there are AirPrint printers out there that allow you to print from your iPhone and your iPad, etc., and they're wireless on your network. She no longer has a home network because the DSL is gone. But she's using the cellular network, so how do we do this? Luckily, Pete Losey works for HP, and he says we have this new thing called Wireless Direct. I got her a printer. She got her a printer. And it puts out Wi-Fi. It has to be a special printer. It has this what's called Wireless Direct printing. She's on her 3G. It doesn't show up on Wi-Fi, but I configure it. She hits print, and it sends it to her printer wirelessly inside her house. And it scans to her iPad. Yes. Most of your AirPrint printers, if you have an AirPrint printer, it will scan to your iPad or your iPhone also. A scanner. You know how you scan documents into your Mac? You don't need that Mac anymore. You got an iPad or an iPhone. So just want to let you know about that because it is really, really unique. Go ahead. Her printer was $89. But see, you have a home network, so you just need a regular AirPrint printer, and there's a bigger selection. Let's talk about printers for a second, since we're kind of on that, and we got a few minutes till the break. I never look at the price of the printer, and I'm an admitted cheap bastard. I'm really a cheap bastard. I hate spending money, monthly fees, and I hate consumable fees. I don't look at the price of the printer. I look how much the consumables are, the inks. Now, inks have gotten better because it got really competitive. Kodak kind of really went to, you pay a little more for the printer, but we got cheaper ink, and they were kind of already going downhill. Yeah, so to speak. What I do is, I have a laser printer, first of all, black and white laser printer. I print stuff out. I don't care because it's cheap. It's about the price of the paper and a little bit for the toner cartridge. Color lasers are more money, but I need an inkjet printer for some color, for some things, and I needed an AirPrint printer because I didn't have one. Yes, I like HP, I just don't like their ink cartridge prices. And Mom's is a situation where only HP makes that one printer, but if you have a home network and you get a Wi-Fi printer, I get a Brother, in fact, there's one, it's going to be on sale starting today or tomorrow, $69, J430W. By Brother, and it's wireless. It has a scanner on the top. It's an all-in-one. It's a fax. It's everything. And I pay less than $1 for every ink cartridge. Because I use cheap ink cartridges that are aftermarket. I wouldn't do that on an HP because it can clog it up. The thing is, the Brother cartridges have a chip that don't keep you. Most other ones have a chip that lets you pretty much throw anything. It is not a good photo printer. It's a document printer. It's like an Office. Like in HP, you have OfficeJet and you have PhotoSmart. PhotoSmart prints really nice pictures. Really expensive ink. Really nice pictures. The OfficeJets are inkjet. Ink's a little bit better priced, and it doesn't do great pictures, but it does okay pictures. If you want really good pictures, you're better off sending them by email to Apple, to Walgreens, to Costco, Walmart, wherever you want it, because it uses a whole nother process called dye sublimation. They're going to last longer, it's going to be better, and it may sound like it's a lot, but it's cheaper than what you pay on ink and paper to print that photo, believe it or not. You get them for about 11 cents each, I think. So think about that. You can take them on a little thumb drive. You can email them to their thing, a Kinko's, places like that. But consumables. The Brother printer, I can throw out color, and I don't worry about the price of it because at $1 a cartridge for the ink. The other thing I have trouble with is HPs and Epsons, Canons a little bit, have trouble if you don't print with them very often. And they clog up. The Brother doesn't seem to do that as bad. And the Brother's not a great printer. It's a cheap printer. It's like $69, but the ink's cheap. Something goes wrong with it. These days, they don't make printers to last. They sell you the printer, they make the money on the ink. Okay? I'll look up online. I believe it's J340W. But I'll tell you what, if you send me an email, I'll send you a direct link to it. I don't get money off that or anything, but I'm happy to share that. I think it was going to be Staples, so you could even go in and get it. Remind me before the class is over, and I'll find that for you.
Costco does that injection.
Yeah, Costco. Well, everybody, all the stores do these replacement ink cartridges, and they're not cheap. They're less than a new cartridge, and they don't use very good inks. If you want nice photos, don't use that. If you want just okay, hey, just go with the Brother and get the $1 ink cartridge. I buy them by the 12-pack, and they're still just sitting there unused. Oh, they might expire. Okay, they were $6, you know.
Where do you buy?
The cartridges, Amazon. Yeah. What I do is I go into fatwallet.com or slickdeals.net, and I find the Brothers, and if it says it's got the cheap ink, then I go to Amazon, and you look up the printer, and it'll show you where they have the aftermarket ink cartridges for it. And oh yeah, you might get an occasional bad cartridge, but at $1, it's pretty easy to swallow that. Go ahead.
So if you print both black and white and color, mostly black and white, but also color, you get 2 printers?
I use a laser printer for black and white because it just prints like crazy. The cartridge lasts for 4,000 pages, and it's cheap, and it's quick, and it's better print for black and white. It depends on how much you print. I see people print stuff off. Every time I see somebody print a page from an inkjet printer, the cheap in me just says, man, there's dollar signs. I should charge more.
What is an
AirPrint printer it means that you can print directly from your iPad or your iPhone on your network. It's a wireless printer. So Apple has a list. 5 printer companies do it. Brother, Epson, Canon, Lexmark. HP. And I think some. Now, if you already have a printer, don't rush out and get another one, because you can usually find an app that as long as you have a Mac or a PC that's hooked to the printer, you can get an app that uses that to go to the printer, and you pay anywhere from free to $5 to $15 for an app to use your existing printer, but your computer has to be on. These others, forget the computer, it goes straight. Now, if anybody here doesn't have a home network like DSL or anything like that, so see, my mom's the only one that's kind of in that situation, but I want to make it aware to you because there are a lot of people like my mom who never had a computer and they're new iPad owners or new iPhone owners. Go ahead.
Do I understand that with my new phone, even though I have the HP good one, I'll be able to print from my phone?
I'm not sure on your printer. It depends on the age and the ability of it. So what you do is you email it to yourself if you have to, But if not, if yours isn't an AirPrint capable printer, we then just get a little app that's a helper app, because you have yours is right next to your iMac, so we'll be able to push to it. We have to look at the specific one, and it's on Apple's website, and if you guys email me, I'll also send you the link. There's just a list of printers, and you can check the printer. I'm not saying you have to get rid of the printer you have. There's ways to make it work. But believe me, an AirPrint printer is really easy. And you can scan back to the device. Go ahead.
Yeah, how do you hook up with these stores to which you can email pictures?
You go to their well, actually not just email, but a lot of times they'll have you upload the photo to their site, and then it's ready when you get there. So in other words, you put the photo on your desktop or here, but I'd have to check. Each one's different. Maybe they'll be in Passbook. No, I know Walgreens has Passbook, but I don't think it's for photos or anything. So we had another question back here. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had a follow-up?
Is it like the store's website that you use?
Yeah, and then they have different locations. Like I have the email address to the Kinko's that I send some files over there for a friend of mine out on Sunrise Mall. But yeah, check their site. But the other thing is they'll also say, oh, upload pictures, and it goes into your hard drive and brings them up from there. And you should be able to get it from your iPhone. And Apple prints those things too. Apple makes some beautiful prints on books and cards and things. And it's what? And then the smaller ones are 12 cents a print or
Do
something.
they mail them to you then?
Yeah, they mail them to you or where you want to mail them to. Go ahead.
Costco,
I'm going to take a break in about 2 minutes. Is that about that? Perfect.
I'll relax for 2 minutes.
Okay, good. You deserve it.
Costco does beautiful quality, but they also have a terrific tech support team. And they will walk you through that sort of everything. You just go onto their website, and when they have their coupon books out, they'll often have sales taking them 9 cents.
So for the recording, she said Costco has some great tech support in that. The other thing is I go to Fat Wallet or SlickDeals.com. A lot of times you'll see Walgreens or CVS, a free 8x10, including shipping, or $1.99 to ship it to you. So I'll take a photo and I'll just send it in and I get it back. And you can either pick it up at the store or you can get it mailed to you. Yeah, exactly. Got a funny story about that one though. You know, my mom, she was the computer Luddite, right? But you know the Apple books, if you've ever seen the hardcover books. For my dad's memorial, there were some pictures, and I put it in a book for my mom. And I took, and it came to me, because it was her birthday coming up, and it comes in this wonderful little cardboard thing with an Apple logo on it. And it's about the size of a laptop. And I thought about this, I'm going, so I put a bow just away from the Apple logo. My mom knows I'm pretty into computers, and so I go in, and I say, hey, here, happy birthday. And the effect was perfect because I could tell that she looks at it, she goes, oh, he bought me a laptop for my birthday because he wants me to give it to him. and somehow she'll pay for it. So I did that, and she opens it up, and it was very moving. She saw the book, and it was a great thing, but it was really just a neat way to do it. So the Apple things are really great. Let's take a break for about 10 minutes or so. Let's try to be back about 1:30. Downstairs are munchies and tech and everything else. I'm going to help Kimberly here real quick, and then I'll be available for some questions. How are you? Good. So, this is okay.
Yeah, well, how can I tell here? I can tell on my computer because it has a cloud on it. So I know
Mine's about 3 years old, 4 years old. That is so good. I don't even have my My son taught me the phone. He said, Mom, see, I can use it. Okay, I'm reaching for my phones, but confusion, just show me how to do it. I want to figure out for myself. Yeah, so, the original one.
Yeah, probably one of his favorite.
He said, Mom, I want you to have this phone. You gotta have this little love it. And see, he comes to my house.
If you're saying.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. I need to go.
You want to try it? Because this will just record it to your profile. But see if you can look at something up, I'll try to find it in mine. It's my demo.
Well, that's yeah, but when it's kind of like,
Oh, I gotta stop the recording. Who didn't remind me? Hold on.
Can you go back?
Hang on. Well, I can when I edit it.
Ken, was there a
What?
was there a case?
No, just.
Just wanted to make sure.
You're welcome. Good luck.